Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special Sunday Family Arts. My name's Austin Kwasinski, and today we're going to be doing some art with typography. And for those that don't know, typography is a fun type of art that's using shapes of different letters to create something that's visually appealing and also has a bit of style to it as well. So for today's lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating typography with letters using our own name. So this is going to be really cool because we're going to use a brainstorming technique, which is going to be to get the creative juices flowing. That way we're going to be able to develop letters based off of our hobbies and interests. So I want to talk about some of the materials that we're going to be needing today. So this is a mixed media project, so we can use old magazines for different collages and stuff like that. That will be really cool. Then we also have coloring utensils. You can use paint, or you can also use dry media like colored pencils. We also have a pencil and an eraser for any of our designing that we're going to be doing today. Glue and scissors for anything that we're going to be cutting out with our collages, as well as any materials that you may need for, say, like looking at reference and stuff. You can use a phone or print off some different types of fonts that you find visually appealing and then go from there. But I'm going to kind of show you how we're going to design our own in coming forward. So that should be it. If I'm missing anything, I will definitely mention it later on. But so I also have two pieces of paper here. So one of them is like a copy paper. This is where we're going to be doing our brainstorming and designing process. And then we have a finished, a little bit more thicker paper for our final design. Alrighty. So typography is pretty cool in the sense is we're using the shapes of our lettering to create art. So typography can be used, say, for different fonts, which is used in any word processor, or say with like logos and stuff too. Somebody has to do design that's visually appealing and also fits the brand of and the message that they're trying to convey. So this is done by using fonts and font faces. So I'm going to start off with just writing out my name in just regular letter. I'm going to put it in the middle so I have space to work here. So that's just essentially how I'd write my name. You can write it and say, if you know handwriting, you can write it a different way, and this is going to look visually different. You could do it a few different ways, but if not, don't worry. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of spread out and do kind of a map of ideas of our personal interests and things that we like or enjoy. So for example, I play hockey, so I'm going to put hockey down. And then for each thing that you put down, I want you to put a little symbol or a visual symbol that goes with it. So I play hockey goalie, so I'm going to draw a little goalie stick. It doesn't have to be fancy, just something that gets the message across. All right, so the next one will be art. So I'll draw a little palette here, and then a little paintbrush, and that will be art, and so on and so forth. So this is a good way to develop our sort of things. So from hockey, we can branch off. So I play goalie, and then we can start to design the goalie mask. Just a little symbol that kind of represents that. I like movies as well, so I'm going to put that down. And this will definitely be tailored to you. So I'm going to draw a little film reel here. Something like that. Maybe some popcorn too. Let's do that. Just do little popcorn, little things that, there you go. I think that's pretty good for movies. Also kind of what personality you like. I also like to learn a lot. So I'm going to do a book here, because usually books are representational of learning. Something like that. And then what else? Very family oriented, so I'm going to put family as well. And to visually draw that, if I'm thinking of family, I'm just thinking of the size difference between, say, a dad, a mom, and then say if you have siblings or something like that. So I'll put sibling here. So as you can see, you can start to get the sense of what we're doing. It's just starting to brainstorm with these ideas and coming up with a symbol for each. I also like music as well. So let's put music. What kind of visually represents music? We know music to be kind of symbols like this. So these are music notes. And essentially, you know, if we break down a music note, we have two circles right here. And then we use line to join those together, right? Something like that. So then we can branch out from there. What type of music do you like? So we can do hip hop. So maybe I'll do like a beatbox or something like that. And then we can do R&B. And then we'll do something like, I don't know, have like a saxophone or something. Again, this doesn't have to be the best drawing in the world, but just something so we visually know what we're going for. There you go. Saxophone and something like that. So I'm just going to keep filling this out. Almost done here. We want to get a lot of things because this is essentially going to be our artist tool belt for designing and coming up with ideas. Oftentimes when we're designing, it can be a little bit daunting that there's like a blank page on the canvas. And so this is going to really help us with our idea generation. And you'll see why in just a second here. So the more things that you have on this list and put a symbol for each thing, the better equipped you're going to be for this lesson here. I also really like fashion. So I'm going to put that one as my last one. And then to visualize fashion, you can do, say, like a mannequin bust here. Make sure it has nice shoulders. Or you can do something like maybe like a runway with like a bunch of people. Something that kind of goes like that. So I think that's enough things to sort of work with and go towards. And again, spend time to expand this and flesh it out. But I want to show you to start designing now. So when we're going to start designing, and I might grab another paper here. All right. So I'm going to grab another paper. This is kind of like my brainstorm. This is our tools in our tool belt, so to speak. So this is going to be super helpful. So when writing our name, right? So I wrote my name like this, and then this is in handwriting. Like that. As you can see, there's different qualities that's happening with our lines. So we can do that if I were to type my name out in just capital letters. You can start to see what is happening with each line that's going into place. So if we were to design that different, we can do something which is serif font. So this is kind of typography or sans serif. For anybody that knows any word processing stuff, they'll kind of know what I'm talking about here. But the difference between serif and sans serif fonts is, if I draw my name, so this is kind of the base that I'm going to work with. Say I want to do block letters. So I'm going to kind of fill that out here. And just block it out. And essentially what I'm doing, if you don't know how to do this, you're just kind of adding a little bit of meat to our lines here. And that's essentially how you'll do block letters. So I'm just doing it rough like this, to get them really blocky. And what I'm also doing is I'm staying consistent with the type, with the font, which means that all the letters are going to kind of look like the same style. Like so. All right. So with sans serif, what it is, it's kind of like a little bit of a thrill, so to speak. So if I take this S, for example, this blocky S, sans serif does this little cool thing where it has like these little flares on the bottom of this. This is really good for, say, if we're doing any type. You'll notice in like typewriters and stuff, they'll kind of have something that looks like that. Or say if we're doing an R, instead of just doing an R like that, we kind of add a little bit of flair. We put a little bit of a wing up top, and then a little bit of a wing on the bottom, and then this is going to be a nice round. Notice the difference between this R and something like this. They're completely different. And this is the way of actually designing our text, which can be visually appealing. So we can look at different fonts and stuff like that and kind of see what's going on there. So if I can do another thing too. Instead of just doing a random F like that, which is just using line, I start to fill it out a bit. So I'm going to, again, sans serif likes to flare their edges like so. Get it nice and thick in the base. Have a short line like that. Curl it up. And again, because we have this circle thing happening with this one, we're going to try to keep it consistent like so. Right? So all these letters start to look like they belong in the same family of letters. So that's essentially when people are designing different fonts for you to type with. That's what they're doing, is consistency and staying as a family. All right, now you're asking me, this is all technical stuff, how do we apply what we've learned from here to here? So we're going to do that right now. So with this one here, we have all of our symbols. This is going to be really important when we start to create our name, because we're going to be using the shapes of our letters. So for example, you know, if I like gaming, you know, another game is like Pokemon, which was like one of my favorite childhood games. I could do something like that. So it's like, okay, so I have these letters to work with. So I can pick a letter, say like I, right? Let's separate I. And look at the shapes that are being used for this. So we have a circle, essentially, and then we have a line. So what sort of things can we use using those shapes? Well, I have the symbol as a Pokeball. That looks like a circle to me. So what I can do is I can put a circle in there, right? Something like that. And then maybe for this one, I could do like a trainer or something like that. And this is where our collage comes into play. If you're not necessarily the greatest drawer or anything, that's okay. If we cut out these images, right? Something like this, which I've already kind of cut out ahead of time. We can sort of use these shapes to our advantage. So I'm looking at this hockey skate, for example. That hockey skate looks to me like an L, right? What I could do is I could almost have this L and have like a foot or something. We'll make it nice and hairy. Have a foot kind of play, and that can be our L shape right there. And that's already kind of a letter which is using the shape language of what we already have as our cutouts. So for the Pokemon one, I'm kind of brainstorming right now. I think this could be a good base, and then we can draw like a Pokeball, and that's going to be our eye. Something like that. All right, let's do the rest of them. So I hope you're looking up different types of fonts and stuff and just getting ideas. So if I'm looking at U shapes, you know, we can draw a bunch of different U's. We can do the bubble letter U, right? Or we can do something that's a little bit more rigid. And this is another quality too. If you're going to have something that's like rounded edges like this one, it's going to have a bit of a softer appeal to it, right? So it looks super soft. You know, it could be like, say like bubble wrap or something like that. So I can just draw like a bunch of circles to indicate bubble wrap. And then if you have something like this, which is more hard edges, like for example, we're just using the shape of a square and cutting this little bit out, it's really rigid looking. So like I would almost equate that to something like maybe like brick or something, right? And then we can kind of color that in a bit. But you can notice the difference between what we get is in these shapes and what's going on here. Okay, so let's continue to design our name here. I'm going to start with just playing with fonts that I like as a base. So we'll maybe do like a sans serif A a bit and see kind of what we get out of it. like this. And then so I think what I'm going to do here, and I'm also looking at the little symbols that I made. I really like this shape here. So I think what I can do, that kind of resembles a T when I look at it, right? The top of a T. So what I might do is I might do this, you know, have that game controller like so as the top of the T, and then for the base of the T, I could have the chord kind of going down like this. And that's going to be my T. So I'm kind of working my letters, and then we already got the I. So the I is that Pokeball, and then we're going to use the trainer here. So for N, what I did here is I liked the music notes kind of going, but I think I might change that up a bit. So what I might do, let's take a look at the N. See if any one of your symbols would be good for making N. I'm looking at this art palette here. I kind of see a U shape in that palette. So what I might do is for the U, I'm going to skip on to S. For the U shape, I might use the palette. I might make that a little bit nicer looking. And then so we're already getting some letters into play. Let's see what else we can do. So let's check off which ones that we've kind of incorporated. So we got art, we have gaming twice, times 2. Let's see what else we can kind of make out of here. So I'm trying to find something for this S shape, which can be a little bit difficult. You can do something that's kind of like a snake, or again, you can find images that kind of resemble like an S. This is more like kind of a C shape that's going on here. So let's find something that looks more like an S. If we have down like this, I'm just designing and filling this out, seeing what I can come up with. It kind of resembles that. We might have to come back to it. All right. So the A in the original one that I did hockey sticks. I kind of like that idea, but I might change it up for a bit. What I might do, let's look at the A, like so. I can kind of see like a book happening like so. So I can kind of make it like this. And have kind of like 2 books, and then maybe, because I like to learn, the lines of the lines of the A can be pencils, something like that. So this is just a rough sketch just to kind of brainstorm and come up with these ideas. So A, U, S, we need an S still. So then we got learning. I kind of like the music one. So I'm thinking of all the things that resemble music. So I might do the S as music. What I might do here, I might do music also as like headphones, right? So we'll have a little ear pod here at the beginning and end of our S ear pod, and then the chord itself is going to be that S shape. All right, so we got almost all our letters. We just need one more, and then we're going to actually draw this in. And then so the N, I'm looking and seeing what I've already used and haven't used. Again, if we need to brainstorm further, we can do that. Let's break down our N shape, shall we? So we can do, we have 3 lines that we can work with, or we can make it fuller. Let's see. And all I'm doing right now is just experimenting and seeing what I can come up with. Sometimes it will work better than others times. So I was thinking maybe I could add popcorn in here. I don't think that's gonna work. Let's throw that one in the garbage now. Let's see what else we could do. I'm looking for our lines, anything. What I could do is I could have a film reel starting here and then just use the film in a way that's going to make up the N shape. Now it looks a little bit rough, but I think this might work because we'll just loop it up top. We'll try it out. All right, I think I'm done designing what I got here so far. So let's actually put that in practice. My pencil's starting to get a little bit thinner, so I'm going to sharpen it just so we get nice clean lines here. All right. So in this instance here, I already know that I'm going to try to avoid collage for the time being, just for time's sake. It's a lot of time to cut out stuff. But please, I encourage you on your own, definitely do the collage stuff. It's a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm going to use this as a rule. If you have a ruler, definitely grab it. But I think I'm just going to use this as a base here. And just use this as a line there. Okay, cool. So I'm going to kind of rest my words or my letters on this one. Just extend that out a little bit. Okay, cool. So I'm going to have the I there, which is going to be a good indicator of the size. Also might want to do one on the top there too. That's actually a good idea. And the reason why to do the top and bottom is so we can kind of stay consistent for the sizing of our lettering here. And it's just in pencil, so you can erase this out if you want to. So we're going to have our circle here. And this one's going to be a little bit nicer, so we're going to do a little bit the Pokeball there. And then this is what I was talking with this film reel. So I'm going to draw the film reel here. I might erase that. I think it's 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what I might do is have the film. I'm just going to draw pretty lightly here. Film's going to come up and rotate around. Again, this is why we have our erasers handy. And then something like this. There you go. So now that we got the track, so to speak, what we can do is kind of fill that in so they look like film reels. Something along those lines. I'll just do it really quickly, just for demonstration purposes. All right. That N1 was a tough one. Okay, so the T, we talked about doing the gaming controller here. Have the cord coming up and down, and kind of have it reach the bottom there, like so. I think normally I would be using a lighter pencil just to do my lines, but just so you guys can make sure you can see it on the screen here, I'm doing it there you go. Now starting to select, and that is our T. And then, so I'm going to move this guy out of the way. I know where he's going already. So our S is going to be our earbuds, like so. And then we're going to do start and the bottom of our earbud here. Just kind of rough out our shapes, like so. I'm going to grab a different eraser though. This one's not very great. There you go. That's much better. Okay, and then I'm gonna draw our line in here. It's really messy, so let's just erase this out. Like so. Just to get the spacing. All right. And now we have to get that U shape, so for that U we're going to do the palette. That paint palette. If we want, we can also put like a paintbrush or something into, like so. Just connect that down. Something like that. And then for the A, what we had is we had the pencils. So let's draw that A roughly. Just for the placement, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add pencils to it. I'll have a pencil on top here. And then a pencil coming downwards, like so. And then we had the book pages. Like so. And what we can do is we can add additional pages coming from behind there. Something like that. We'd always make that taller after. All right, so let's quickly glue this guy down. Again, I would do more collage if I had a bit more time to do it, but please feel free on your own to cut out things that inspire you and you like. And also I consider to look at the different shapes and see if they're going to work within the letters of your name and get creative with it. You know, this is just a lot of fun. So we're going to do that one there. I'm also going to get a fine tip marker, I think. All right, yes. So I'm going to do all my lines now. And really clean it up. Like so. There you go. Make sure that has a nice thick one in there. So this S, I think I'm going to erase out just a little bit because it's a little bit too strong. Because that pencil that I was using was really dark. Like so. Just going to make a parallel line. So what I can do for these headphones, I can kind of have them playing music. Like so. We have our U shape here. Then our paint swatches. And again, if your line work's messy, just erase it out, no big deal. And then these are going to be our pencils here. Like so. And yeah, so the main big thing about this is looking for those different shapes, because essentially when we boil down to the typography of our name, it's using lines and circles and all that types of stuff, and we can equate that with what we know about shapes like our circles and our squares and stuff, and sort of apply that to the visual telling of these letters. So I'm just erasing this out. And then let's do this one really quickly. Something like that. And then quickly do the little squares. Something like this. So the more time you spend with this, definitely you're going to get pretty cool results. Also, don't be afraid to check out references and stuff. If you need to look and see what a film reel looks like, please do so, because that's just going to lead to better drawings. You know, that's one of the artist's other toolboxes, definitely using a lot of reference for things that you don't necessarily know what they look like. It's going to be a big lifesaver in the end. Okay, something like that. Let's erase all this lines, get this a little bit cleaner. Try not to take one's leg. And then we get something like that. So now we have a really strong base to work with, and then we can add color to it if we want. I might do this really quickly. So let's grab, just so you guys get an idea of kind of the final result here. There. So we're going to do yellow for pencils. Something like that. And we can do different colors for the paint. Something along those lines. I know this is not necessarily accurate, but for time, we'll just kind of rush this process a little bit. A little bit like that. Let's see what other colors I got too. For the film reel, I'm just going to do blue for the meantime, just because it's kind of like, it would be more like a gray, but gray is kind of a little bit gross looking, so we'll do like a dark blue. I think will work just the same. And then we can also fill that in. We can take a Sharpie and just go like that. Something like that. But I think you get the idea of kind of what we're going for, and this is going to be like our palette color. Paintbrush is going to be that blue too. Something along those lines. We could do maybe a blue controller. Choice is totally up to you. So you can do this, you can paint it if you want to. I just chose to do pencil crayons just because it's nice and quick, and we can kind of get what that look is going to be like. But anyways, guys, I hope that you guys learned a little bit about typography and kind of what goes into it. This brainstorming process is really great for just designing and coming up with ideas, and to work with the shapes as well is something that's really cool, because essentially when we break down our shapes, I'm going to use a pencil crayon here. When we break down our shapes, it's all about curves, it's lines, and then also using our shape languages like circles and squares. You know, circles are a little bit softer, they're more inviting, kind of represent unity because they go around in full circle, and then squares are more rigid and tough, and they have a strong structure as well. and then anything with points. So you could do, say if you're going to do a T, you could have something that's like really kind of pointy, right? And it almost looks a little bit more rigid, a little bit more menacing, and something like that. So yeah, so once you have a finished product, this one's a little bit on bigger scale, and as you can see, you know, we used the collage. We took the lines of, say, that A pattern and made those shapes. We cut out just a U. You can fill out this shape. You could do the inside of it and fill it with whatever you want, like doodles or something along those lines. You could fill this space, this negative space. Same thing with the S. That's what I did. The S was fashion, so that was a part of a skirt or a type of clothing. T is like Pac-Man. I is for pencils, and then again, N for music. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Thanks for another Sunday Family Arts, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.